a previous poorly executed attempt to clean up alkaline corrosion. So here we have a Data East Back to the Future MPU that I am testing with Simpson's ROMs. And it had some alkaline corrosion at the battery holder that someone had attempted to abate. All I can say is I did a better job. I did a much better job abating the corrosion down here around where the 6802 is located. So that's a machine pin SIPs that I don't usually use unless I have to reconstruct traces, which I did because there is still some corrosion. And I've replaced the crystals, some 1K resistors. You can see a jumper there where that got damaged when the prior fellow was prying the processor out of the socket. The other problem with this board was that a couple of the transistors in the special solenoid section had exploded. Mostly the top one, but the middle two were damaged also, as was Q11, the 2N4401 input, as was D4, the diode in the section. So I've replaced all that. I've replaced RA24, the 4.7K pull-up resistor, and the 7402 at 12A. Replace the power filter input cap, 470 microfarad, and the header for the power input, CN17. I always do that. So I'm going to put it into test, but it also came along with this power supply, which this version of the power supply is probably the nastiest one because this cap in the center, which I've replaced, leaks and corrodes the traces around it. So I have repaired all of that. I put new caps on there, except for these two. You never need to recap those. Those are the plus and minus 100 caps, unless your display is doing something funky. The bridge rectifier was flipped over and screwed down to the board and jumper wires, and the wafer was a mess, so I have transplanted some pins into 9, 10, and 11, and I didn't have the benefit of the wafer to hold them in place, but they'll be just fine as they are. So I've tested this one. Everything works on this one. So let's put the CPU into test. Turn off the light so we can see a little bit better. And here we go. And now I have to, that's the left speaker. I do have my Simpson soundboard connected.
Hey man, we're both underachievers.
So those are all working correctly. I'm not sure. Back to the Future may be a alphanumeric display. I'll have to try that when I get done here. I'm just so familiar with the way the Simpsons ROMs operate that I like to use those. Lamp matrix is working perfectly. You can do rows, columns, individual lamps. So I'm going to skip that. Flashers is next, and then coils. The blue LED coming on is indicating the AC select relay is the first 8 coils, except for coil 5 are multiplexed on at least the Simpsons. Let me test these. This is the one that was giving me a devil of a time, that top LED, but it is working correctly now. Top LED meaning solenoid 17. These two orange ones are your flipper power enable relay. So once again, these are working properly. You can do individual coils. We'll skip that. Reboot. And we're good to go. Thank you so much for sending this pair. Turns out Back to the Future is an alphanumeric game. Back to the Future 2. All right, we're good to go.